Rich guy Jack loves messing with women who sell their dignity for money. He took me shopping, but at checkout, he said he was broke. When he saw me drinking with other men, he looked at me with mocking eyes. Are you that short on cash? After leaving me, you found someone else so fast. But I slipped a card into his hand. It was all my savings. It's not what you're thinking. I'm here to make money. I said, I want to help you. It's just bankruptcy. I'll be with you for a new start, okay? Jack was stunned. But actually, the real hunters often appear as prey. I was the woman who stayed by Jack's side the longest. Because he said I was simple, different from others. Until that day, he said he wanted to give me a gift. I put on an expensive watch, full of surprise. Are you really going to buy it? But it looks pricey. Jack smiled mysteriously. As long as you like it. Jack, with his good looks and generous nature, drew people's attention right away. The clerk was grinning, ready to wrap the watch. Sir, card here? Jack lowered his gaze, but didn't take any action, just gently looked at me. Go ahead, I'll wait here. The clerk and I didn't react immediately. His voice turned colder as he glanced at the clerk. What, don't know who the customer is? The clerk quickly got the hint, cautiously asked me, Ma'am, will you be paying or? If I couldn't figure out Jack's meaning now, I'd be an idiot. Still, I couldn't help but ask, Jack, didn't you say you'd buy it for me? He raised an eyebrow, still smiling, but it felt chilly. Lily, do you know how much this watch costs? I turned to the clerk and got a very large number, gripping the card tightly. Facing my tension, Jack lazily said, or you're not my girlfriend, so why think I should spend this money on you? I felt like cold water was poured on me, just staring blankly at him. Onlookers started gossiping, so she's not even a girlfriend, huh? This woman looks like a scammer, treating him like an ATM. The guy's smart, teaching her a lesson just in time. Jack patted my head, gentle but indifferent. Calm like a bystander, as if my embarrassment had nothing to do with him. Be good, buy it yourself if you like it. I'm leaving. He just left, and I was alone. The clerk silently put the watch back, noticeably impatient. Ma'am, do you need anything else? The crowd, done with the show, pointed at me. A woman like this deserves it. Next time I'm doing that. My dignity was crushed. Unable to handle the sudden change, I chased after him. Stopped Jack's fancy car in the parking lot. He lowered the window, showing no emotion. I hadn't seen him like this since we met. Unwillingly, I asked, Jack, what do you mean? His hand tapped the steering wheel, knocking again and again. Maybe it was too cold in the parking lot, his gaze felt extra icy. After a while, he sighed. My family is going bankrupt. Lily, it's not that I don't want to buy it for you. I was stunned. Bankrupt? How? Jack's tone was bland, saying something calm. Even so, if you had to choose, would you still be with me? My face went blank for a moment. The hand gripping the car door loosened a bit. He gave me a cold smile and drove away with a roar. That night, a friend sent me a video of Jack in a nightclub. The shot was shaky, but a guy like Jack draws attention everywhere. Jack, where's that girlfriend of yours? Not bringing her out? The noisy background made it hard to hear. After a few replays, I barely made out Jack's cold reply. All the same, got tired of her. The other man laughed. Jack, still got it. Those women, meeting you, it's karma. Jack was laughing. Beneath that charming exterior, there was a bone-deep coldness. They say Jack likes to mess with women who love rich guys. Women getting close to him for money, always get kicked away in the end for the same reason. Like, taking them to fancy places and suddenly disappearing at checkout. Those women were caught off guard. The more shy ones would pay themselves. Those without money, like me, ending up getting blamed. It's Jack's usual trick. Friends thought I was still with Jack and subtly warned me. Lily, you better be careful. That circle is scary, ordinary folks like us are just their playthings. Holding my phone, I was deep in thought. It rained tonight. I first met Jack on a rainy day, too. He drove by, splashing me with water, emotionlessly tossing money at me. I took 100 for cleaning the clothes, threw the rest, wet and muddy, back into his car. Jack probably found it amusing and thought I was a novelty. For a while, the great rich kid Jack went chasing an ordinary college girl, exploring night markets and eating street food with me. This freshness lasted a month. When I started accepting his gifts, he suddenly thought I was the same as other women. Although I looked like a pure student, I was the same deep down. Not greedy, just not given enough yet. Prank, huh? I murmured to myself. To the friend who kindly warned me, I replied, no way, I trust he's not like that. After all, if the game ends here, it's no fun. I moved off campus, found a part-time job. Selling drinks at a nightclub. Being young and attractive is an advantage. I made lots of sales, earning good tips after a few days. Still, no sign of Jack today. Just about to finish up, a tattooed arm blocked me against a wall. I recognized him, Eric, a regular here. From what I heard, there's some past issues between him and Jack. But that's another story. Eric's eyes roved, then he asked with interest, Jack's lady friend? I frowned. He pulled up a photo on his phone. Someone had snapped it the day Jack took me shopping. The caption was sarcastically, how to spot a scammer girl. Eric, with a smirk, teasingly pinched my chin. That Jack jerk, always up to no good. Let me tell you, pretty women aren't for fooling, they're for cherishing. If you're with me, my money's endless, just a watch, it's yours already. I held back my disgust, about to push him away. But suddenly, I spotted a familiar figure in the light. When Eric leaned closer, I changed my mind, putting a hand on his shoulder, seductively said, how about a drink? He grinned, waving a black card between two fingers. Drink. For as many glasses as you down with me, I'll open that many bottles. Expensive drinks line up in a long, impressive row. People around us can't close their mouths out of jealousy. Lily, you're so lucky, all you meet are billionaires. I pour the drinks skillfully. Eric stares at me brazenly, suddenly pulling me onto his lap. I'm spending so much, shouldn't I get a little special treatment? My hand holding the drink shakes a bit. He squeezes my waist again, feed me the drink. I fight the urge to gag. At the same time, I feel a gaze from behind, through the flashing lights, a chilly presence resting on me. As I gulp down who knows which number glass. As I let Eric take advantage, and choke on the booze till tears fall. I lock eyes with that gaze. Jack is not too far away, the flickering lights casting a haunting beauty on him. Proud, elegant. A stark contrast to my messiness. In the restroom, I nearly empty my stomach. As I find a place to rest, a teasing voice comes from above. Lily, are you really that broke? Left me, and found someone else so quickly. I look up, meeting Jack's deep eyes, frozen on the spot. He looks down on me, full of mockery. Like the next thing he'd say is, see, you're just a woman who'll do anything for money. The cold overhead light casts harsh shadows on his features. I choke up, it's not what you think. His tone gets even more mocking. Because I can't buy you even a watch, but Eric can, right? I don't know what to say, just shaking my head desperately. Don't cry. His eyes smile but have no warmth, no need to put on a show for me. After all, we've known each other, don't blame me for not warning you. Watch out so Eric doesn't chew you up and spit you out. Lily, I hope you get what you wish for. He looks away like he's seen through everything and lost interest. As he turns to leave, I finally shout his name. Jack. I run up, blocking his path, stubbornly lifting my face. I told you, it's not what you think. He lowers his lashes, opening his palm. In it is a card I pressed on him suddenly. I look at him steadily. Yes, I need money. I'm here to make money. This is all my savings. I want to help you. Just bankruptcy, I'll stay with you to start over, okay? The overhead light flickers. Jack freezes on the spot, his gaze locked, gradually reflecting my image. After a silence, he looks puzzled. Help me? I nod vigorously. I sold my house. This is nearly 2 million, and I can paint. My paintings sell too, I'm just here to make extra from selling drinks. Jack's eyes subtly shift. Sold your house? Then what about you? He knows my parents divorced and neither wanted me, leaving only that small house. I press my lips together. It's fine, I've rented a place. I'll have more freedom too. To you, this may be little money, but I really want to help. In a moment, the air seems to stop flowing. Jack stares at me like looking at some strange creature. After a while, he gives a small laugh, slipping the card back in my coat pocket. Has anyone said you're really dumb? I hold my breath, showing a hurt expression. He turns and leaves without looking back. Until his silhouette disappears. I finally sigh. Jack, I saw it. I saw that flicker of reluctance in your eyes. Eric hasn't left. Determined to stick to me, he keeps opening expensive bottles one after another. Everyone envies me for landing a rich guy. Eric pulls me into an embrace, whispering in my ear. So? Who's better, me or Jack? Speak up, Saying this, his hand slides under my clothes along my waistline. People around us tactfully look away. I startle, standing up to pour drinks and escape his grasp. Eric misses, his face turning sour. This isn't fun anymore. He tries to pull me into another embrace. I shove him away and a wine glass shatters on the floor. My face goes pale. He curses, dragging me onto the couch. I struggle in panic. Eric, please don't. Did you think I was spending this money for charity? He sneers. What, am I not more generous than that, Jack? Bam! A loud bang suddenly sounds. A wine bottle smashes unexpectedly at Eric's feet. I open my eyes wide in shock, looking up the trail of spilled wine to see Jack's faintly smiling face. Elegant and aloof, beautiful like a flower on a distant peak. As Eric is about to flip out, he suddenly holds back, gritting his teeth. Jack, looking for trouble? Jack glances back, seeing my tear-stained eyes, the smile at his lips fading as his gaze grows sharp. Aren't you coming over? I hesitate, clutching my jacket tight, hiding behind him. Eric insists. I paid for her. I reach out, carefully grabbing Jack's sleeve, tears in my eyes. He pauses slightly, casting a detached look at Eric, as if seeing some trash. My girl, you dare claim? Eric suffers the loss, glaring angrily but daring not to retort. Jack turns and grips my hand, leading me out, his demeanor cold, silent. The warmth from his hand feels chilly. I calm down, looking at his well-defined profile, slowly revealing a smile. Jack stuffs me in the car, eyes glinting coldly. Listen, whatever you're trying, stay away from me, and don't come here again. I cling to the car door. I won't. He frowns. Won't? Then what do you want? Standing on the car door edge, hands on hips, I shout, I want to be with you. At this moment, something seems to flicker faintly in his eyes. After a brief pause, he sneers. Lily, do you think I'm fooling you? My family's bankruptcy is inevitable. I'm just killing time here. You'll get nothing with me. I shake my head. All I want is you. He's at a loss for words. Seems a bit annoyed. Why? I think, because I like you. He laughs in frustration. Then, with a light tug, I find myself falling into his embrace. His calm voice carries a hint of threat. Fine, I'll show you what kind of person you like. Jack takes me to a high-end club I've never been to. His legs long and strides big, I have to take 2 steps for each of his to barely keep up. I have countless chances to bolt. Until he opens that door, countless gazes fall on me. Aren't you busy? Whoa. Where'd this pretty girl come from, new girlfriend? Everyone in this room looks rich and noble, teasing as if it's routine. Jack casually replies, "Is my taste that bad?" They jeer, "If she's not a girlfriend, introduce her to us then, you're never short of women anyway." Jack looks at me, smiling warmly, but his words cold as ice. "These are my good buddies, my family's current situation relies on their help." "Lily, didn't you want to help?" He leans in, voice ruthless, "Then help me keep them entertained." I'm dumbfounded, momentarily in disbelief. He glanced at the door, as if telling me that there's still time to leave. I loosened my clenched fists. I lifted my head, smiling, and looked around at everyone. "Hi, I'm Lily," I introduced. "I'm 19 and in college." Jack paused, saying nothing more. The guy who first spoke up looked excited. "A college girl, Jack, you're such a sleaze." The crowd burst into laughter. Some guys nudged me to sit in the middle. Don't be fooled by Jack's player face, he really is trouble. There are countless women heartbroken over him, don't let it get to you. I pretended to think, how do you know I'm not the exception? They all paused for a second, then laughed again. So naive. Good one, you are indeed special. One guy pushed a drink towards me, a cheeky look in his eyes, especially pretty. In the dim light, I couldn't make out Jack's expression as he lit a cigarette in the corner. Just then, the door opened and a short-haired girl walked in. Tall and skinny, with big diamond earrings, she headed straight for Jack. "Long time no see." She sat next to him, her voice lilting, "I heard you brought another pretty girl?" The crowd chimed in, playing along, "A pretty girl, unlike you, Kate, with no femininity at all." Kate rolled her eyes and put an arm on Jack's shoulder. "I'm not like those women. We're like brothers for life, right, Jack?" Jack knocked her hand away, downed a drink, "Sure, as ugly as you are." Kate playfully hit him, annoying. Everyone burst into laughter, teasing them about their love-hate relationship. Only I saw the flash of annoyance on Kate's face. To hide her feelings, Kate looked at me, sizing me up with a fake smile, "She's really pretty." Then, with a shrewd glint in her eyes, she joked to Jack, "How long do you plan on keeping this one?" I frowned slightly. Jack stubbed out his cigarette and looked at me. Indifferent, expressionless. "Since Leo likes her, she's his." Watching my hurt expression, he added, "Hope Leo enjoys himself and we can talk business after." I knew what he meant right away. To Jack, I could be a pawn for getting what he wanted. I wanted to say something, but the guy they called Leo pulled me close, laughing. "No problem, Jack, you know me well. Now then, I'll take the pretty girl out for some fun." I struggled a bit, looking desperately at Jack. He just looked back with a cruel smirk, as if to say, "See, this is who I am, no good will come to those who like me." Until Leo took me away. Though Jack saw my silent resistance, he didn't even flinch. The last thing I heard was Kate teasing him, "You're so bad, poor Lily." He sneered, "She deserves it." Leo's place was huge. As we entered, he sent everyone away, suddenly shoving me against a door. Then he closed it, pulling out drinks from the bar. I shrank back, "Leo, I really can't drink anymore." He smirked, "It's not that strong." But pills were still dissolving at the bottom of the glass. I didn't dare move. He took his time, sitting down, loosening his tie. Sticking with Jack gets you nowhere, he's got his dad controlling him. I'm different, stick with me and you'll get anything. Jack gave you to me 'cause his family's business still relies on me, you know? You're young, you can't just pick a guy based on looks, looks won't pay the bills, right? As he spoke, his greasy hand crept up my leg. Revulsion hit me hard, and I backed up. Leo lost patience, getting up to force-feed me the drink. "It's good, you need to taste it." The alcohol stung as tears streamed down my face. In the struggle, he grew more excited, pinning me down on the bed. Desperately, I cried for help. His grin grew more vile. I've seen this act. The more you resist, the more fun it is. The noise startled birds outside. Barely hearing the car engine outside, I started counting down in my head. When Jack opened the door, he saw chaos. Shattered bottles littered everywhere, liquid, maybe booze, maybe blood, mixed together, bizarrely appalling. He stopped breathing, eyes tracing up the scarlet stains. I lay flat on the bed, clothes ripped, barely covering the essentials. Leo's face was bloody, hands strangling me, looking like a demon. Bitch, no one can save you now. In that moment, Jack and I locked eyes. I opened my mouth in vain, decided not to struggle, and smiled faintly at Jack. I mouthed, "You're here." Shock washed over Jack, kicking Leo off in a swift motion. The world darkened as his coat wrapped around me, with that distinct fresh scent of his. Jack. Leo's face burned with fury, shouting, "Why are you here?" Jack held me tight, his eyes like a deep night. "I told you, why did you go with Leo? Couldn't you find a chance to run?" I wanted to answer, but tears spoke first. The strong liquor had burned my throat. I croaked, "I believed you would come. But you were late, so I smashed him. I've wanted to do that for a while." Jack's expression was harsh, his gaze lingering on my neck. It was likely red. He suddenly reached to touch it, gently. "Does it hurt?" The next moment, my eyes widened as I used all my strength to push Jack away. Leo's true colors showed as the bottle he meant to smash Jack with came crashing down on my head. Blood blurred my vision. After sharp ringing, I heard Jack trembling, shouting my name with a fear I'd never seen before. "Lily." Intense pain hit instantly. As I began losing consciousness, I strained to touch Jack's face. A tear landed in my palm, and I brushed it away. I said, "Don't cry. Jack, your game is over. Now it's time for the one I made just for you. Join in." 2 days later, I woke up in a private hospital. The stitches on my forehead still hurt. Jack was nowhere to be seen, but a nurse lady was taking care of me. There was an unfamiliar bank card at my bedside. I turned on my phone and saw a message from Jack. "School's given you leave, I've sorted the hospital, just focus on recovering. The money on this card is compensation for your injuries. We're square, let's not meet again." I couldn't help but smile bitterly. I took a look around the upscale single-patient room. This time, they really spent some money. The nurse seemed like she was waiting for me to ask her something. But I didn't say anything and slipped out to the hospital rooftop when she wasn't around. I only started to feel a bit better when the wind hit my face. Almost like I was possessed, I walked toward the edge of the rooftop. My skirt caught the breeze, and I felt a few raindrops on my face. I closed my eyes, leaning back, and in a daze, I felt hands pulling me back. I opened my eyes to a bright, cheerful face. "Lily, look, big sis got you a new dress." My sister was so pretty, lots of guys must have been after her, right? What kind of boyfriend would Lily have one day? Too bad big sis won't see it. Promise me, Lily, never trust a man too easily. "Lily, are you happy?" I shook my head, tears streaming down my face. The shadow before me gradually faded away, but the same scene had played in my dreams countless times. Like the lasting dampness left after a heavy rain. A chill crept in, and I shivered. A faint sound came from behind. I turned around, and suddenly someone grabbed me around the waist, pinning me against the wall. I looked up at him, calm and composed. "Weren't we supposed to stop meeting?" Jack slammed his fist against the wall behind me, breathing hard, gritting his teeth. "Lily, are you crazy? Do you want to die?" From his perspective, a few more steps and I'd have jumped. A cold smile crept into my heart. With his nearly desperate gaze, I reached up and wrapped my arms around his neck. Stood on tiptoe and kissed him. His whole body tensed up, breath caught, as I clumsily kissed his lips. 5, 4, 3. The hand pressed against the wall suddenly clamped down on the back of my head. A harder kiss followed, stealing my breath away. We kissed in the wind. I didn't resist, didn't respond, letting him take what he wanted, watching him drown. It felt both thrilling and disgusting. After a while, Jack snapped back, his eyes full of mixed emotions. I licked my numb lips and asked him, "Jack, do you think I'm cheap?" He was silent for a moment, eyelashes lowered. "No. I was only thinking why you took that hit for me. Why do you like someone like me?" I curved my lips into a light smile and replied, "Liking someone doesn't need a reason." He said, "I don't understand." I held his face, looking deep into those eyes. "Because it's you, so I like you. If I had to explain, I'd say I like to see you smile, hear your voice, like everything about you. Even when you're cold and heartless, ignoring me, I can find countless reasons to justify it for you." This heartfelt confession was written by my sister in her diary. If it were me, I couldn't make it up. Jack was stunned. I pretended to sigh. "Did none of my words touch you? Do you still think I got close to you just for money?" He instantly retorted, "No." I looked him in the eyes. "Jack, when you said you'd give me a gift, I thought you meant us together, so I was happy. I didn't know the value of that watch, didn't understand your test. I just wanted to be with you." The same Jack who treated people like playthings now looked panicked. "I'm sorry." He said sorry. The wind made my headache worse. I turned to leave but was suddenly pulled into a warm embrace. "Teach me how. Will you?" His voice was different, gentle, apologetic, careful. Like a suppressed emotion finally breaking free. "Okay," I smiled softly, "I'll teach you." The doctor changed my bandages, and Jack stood awkwardly by. The moment he saw my wound, his brows knitted tightly. I coughed, signaling him to come over. "Jack, I got hurt because of you. You should be holding my hand, comforting me, or telling me a joke to cheer me up." His expression shifted as he reached out his hand. Long fingers, cold and hard to the touch, just like him, nice to look at but without warmth. When pulling at the wound, I bit down on his hand in pain, hard enough to leave a mark. He didn't make a sound, even as I bit deep enough to draw blood. I looked up, blinking innocently. "Does it hurt?" "I hurt more than you. That makes it fair." He cracked a smile. "Yeah, got it." A week later, I was discharged. Jack drove me to my rented place. Pushing the door open, he frowned. "You live here?" I nodded. "It's fine." Still, he seemed out of place sitting there. Hesitating, he asked, "Your other house?" "Sold," I said. "I don't need what they left me." I handed him a glass of water in my cartoon cup. He took a sip, looked up seriously. "Come stay with me." I looked at him. "It's just me most of the time, with a housekeeper occasionally around. You can stay in any room." "Sure." I nodded. He was stunned for a moment, like he didn't expect me to agree so quickly. After packing, I moved from my old place to Jack's mansion. A house that was breathtaking even from the outside, reeking of wealth everywhere. I looked down, murmuring, "Even if you went bankrupt, you wouldn't need my money." Jack didn't notice my sarcastic look and responded, "I'll explain things later. Lily, give me time." I said nothing, just smiled. Turns out, once someone opens their heart, change can be immediate. Even the word future was something he could say now. Supposedly, no woman had ever crossed Jack's threshold. Cold, selfish, always playing the role of the hunter while waiting for prey to fall into his trap. But really, real hunters often appear as prey. The next day, Jack personally drove me to school. I hadn't even gotten out before his luxury car drew lots of attention. Coincidentally, my former roommate was among them. Just a few days, and the news of a sweet college girl with a wealthy guy became a hot topic on campus forums. Wow, she's so lucky, being pretty is an advantage after all. That's Jack. He's seen tons of beauties, yet he personally drove Lily to school. Lily's roommate said Jack already dumped her. She moved out just to live with him. What a shameless woman. Even in the library, people would make snide remarks, even someone being kept can study. What excuse do we have? I ignored them. Jack heard about it and didn't look pleased, asking if I needed him to handle it. I said no, showed a hint of feeling wronged, then comforted him instead. No worries, I just care about what you think of me. He looked deep into my eyes but didn't say anything. Soon enough, the rumors seemed to die down. Jack was busy with who knows what, I hadn't seen him in days. After class one day, I saw a familiar car and thought it was him. But when the window rolled down, it was Eric's sleazy face. Hey, isn't it Lily, the work-study student? Heard you're being kept by Jack, right? What, is he actually spending money on you? I ignored him, but he just drove slowly behind me. Lily, don't be so uptight. You only see Jack's flashy side, it doesn't mean a thing. One day you'll regret not choosing me, and that day is coming soon. I'll have everything Jack has. Last time, Jack had to save me from Eric, but now Eric seemed way more arrogant. I stopped and looked at him, amused. Oh? So confident? He snickered, just wait and see. He took my spot, and he'll have to give it up someday. If you regret it now, I might still consider. I snorted, Eric, let's talk when that day comes. You better not disappoint me. Back at Jack's place, I ran into Kate again. That friend of Jack's, androgynous style, but her makeup was more refined than mine. Jack wasn't home yet, but she was waiting outside. When she saw me, her face changed instantly. Looking for Jack? She looked defensive. Didn't he dump you for Leo? What? You still dare to cling on? I walked past her and used facial recognition to open Jack's front door right in front of her. Then I smiled, Leo, come in. Jack will be back later. Kate's eyes widened as she raised her voice. You? How can you open Jack's door? Are you living here? I raised my brow a bit, you can't tell? She shoved past me, barging in and seeing my slippers and clothes on the couch. How could Jack let you live here? She was incredulous. He gave you to Leo, and you still have the face to stick to him. I smiled gently, why are you mad? Do you actually like Jack? Her face turned red, and she snapped, nonsense. I've been friends with him for years. I just can't stand women like you who get ahead by flaunting yourself. You don't deserve him. He said you're that type of woman. No way he's into you. Aren't you still a student? She sneered. You better leave, or everyone you know will find out. Find out what? A cold voice interrupted the scene. Jack suddenly walked in, scanning the room with a sharp gaze. Kate trembled slightly. I came to find you. I don't know why she's here. I beamed, you're back. In Kate's shocked gaze, Jack opened his arms and let me run into them, his expression softening. She's my girlfriend, of course she's here. Girlfriend were the first words like that I'd heard from Jack. I lowered my eyes, smiling faintly. Kate was stunned, no way. Jack, are you joking? You said she's that kind of woman. Shut up. Jack's eyes narrowed, don't assume things. Assume things? For such a woman, you say I'm assuming things? Kate glared at me, gritting her teeth, you'll regret this. She stormed out, furious. I let go, a little annoyed. Did you fall out with Kate because of me? Regretting it? Jack frowned, we're just business acquaintances. We've known each other a little longer, that's all. He spoke, then suddenly gave a meaningful smile, lowering his voice. Are you jealous? I scoffed inside. He sat close to me, trying to lighten the mood. and showed me a photo. "You left this in the car. Is the person in the photo you?" I stared for a moment. It was an old photo of two little girls smiling at the camera. The paper was worn with age, showing the passage of time, a childhood photo of my sister and me that I always carried with me. My name, Lily, was written on the back. Back then, my sister couldn't write many words, but she always wrote my name neatly and beautifully. My throat tightened. "Yeah, it's me and my sister." Jack was confused. "You have a sister? You never mentioned her." I stared blankly at him. "She passed away." Jack's face froze. "I'm sorry." I caressed the photo. "Do you want to know how she died?" He didn't speak, just waited quietly for me to continue. "She fell in love with a guy and gave him everything," I said, "but in the end, she was deceived, fooled, and driven to the edge." Recalling my sister's words in her diary, my hand trembled. "Promise your sister never to trust men easily." I returned my gaze to Jack's face, forcing a smile. "Jack, you wouldn't lie to me, right?" He didn't notice my slip. Instead, his eyes softened with a hint of pain as he pulled me into an embrace. "No, Lily. You've already got me." He didn't see it. The bits of hatred flickering in my eyes. Gone in a flash. Not long after, something big happened at Jack's place. Jack's dad, Mark, suddenly announced to the public that he had another son. Raised by a friend due to special circumstances. And that son was Eric. Now Mark said his health was failing, and the family business needed to be handed down to the next generation. The media and industry insiders were shocked. This move effectively told everyone that Eric now had inheritance rights. Jack, who was an only child, suddenly had a brother he had to share his inheritance with. The ironic thing is it happened on Jack's birthday. Jack came home in the afternoon and locked himself in his room. No matter how much I knocked, there was no response. I didn't ask what happened, just stayed by the door telling him jokes, trying to cheer him up. It was dark when his tired voice came from the other side. "I want to be alone for a while, don't worry." But, I knocked softly on the door. "It's your birthday. Can I stay with you?" He went quiet again. I looked around, then ran to the garden downstairs, grabbed a ladder, and managed to climb up to the second-floor window. Jack looked worn out, with several empty bottles beside him. Seeing me climb through the window, he rushed over. After pulling me inside, he was both surprised and angry. "Are you crazy?" Though it was the second floor, a fall could have seriously hurt me. I reached out to smooth his angry brow. "I was worried about you. Drinking this much makes you feel awful, right? From my time selling drinks in clubs, I know it feels terrible. Let me make you hangover soup. It'll help." Jack was staring at me, and his eyes were like blazing fires, threatening to burn a hole through me. I kept talking to myself, and besides, today's the first time I'm spending your birthday with you. A strong hug stopped my rambling. Jack was shaking, like a drowning man clutching his lifeline. Outside, the night was dark and impenetrable. At that moment, I became the salvation for someone I once hated. Today isn't just my birthday. It's also my mom's death anniversary. When Jack said this, all the color drained from his face. When I was little, Mark cheated and had a kid with another woman. That's Eric now. Mark forced my mom to divorce and tried to take custody of me. On my birthday, my dad's lover brought Eric into our home. My mom, Jack's eyes glazed over. She killed herself. Just 2 hours earlier, she was celebrating my birthday with me. Before midnight hit, she died on the same day. It was Mark and his mistress who pushed her to her death. Jack looked like he was spiraling into a nightmare. His hands were clenched tightly, knuckles white and trembling. After my mom died, Mark, due to public opinion, couldn't legitimize Eric and the woman right away. So, he hid them away elsewhere with financial support. My dad was planning to wait until everyone forgot his wife's desperate suicide. Then, he would deal with it. But that woman was trouble. She blackmailed Mark multiple times, demanding large sums of money. Eventually, Mark set up an accident and killed her. Jack let out a twisted smile. Of course, even if Mark hadn't acted, would have killed her when I grew up. A chill ran through me. As for Mark, if he had the sense to play along, when the company falls into my hands and his crimes are exposed, I'd personally ensure he spends his golden years in jail. But still, he dared to acknowledge Eric. Jack closed his eyes as if trying hard to suppress his emotions, and when he opened them again, a frenzied look had returned. No worries, Eric won't get a penny of this family fortune. It wasn't hard to guess what Jack planned next. He looked back at me cautiously, wanting to reach out, but hesitating. Lily, don't be scared. Mark must go bankrupt. I'll destroy what he values most, even if it leaves me with nothing. I took his hand, gently comforting him. Silly, you still have me. Moonlight spilled into the room, making everything dreamlike. Jack shivered, then quickly withdrew like a guilty child. Lily, I'm a despicable person. That woman's greed and status killed my mom. So I've hated women focused only on money since then. It was like avenging them brought me some twisted satisfaction. I didn't believe in genuine love until I met you. I often regret the way I tested, deceived, and humiliated you in the beginning. Without you, I might not have had a future. I'm laying all my secrets bare for you, seeking your forgiveness. I want to keep you with me. He laid his heart open, showing it entirely. I stayed silent, gently hugging him. Because I had just heard the most absurd reason, any longer, and I wouldn't be able to hide the mockery and hatred in my eyes. And slowly, his arms tightened, his breathing evened out by my ear. My birthday wish is to have you by my side every year from now on. Silly, if you say your wish out loud, it won't come true. The company called a shareholder meeting, and Eric showed up like a big shot. I was there with Jack, waiting downstairs. Kate came too. Kate sat directly across from me, her diamond earrings catching the light. Jack's probably too busy for you now, she said, with a bastard son turning up so suddenly, his priority is to secure his interests. As for you, you can do nothing but amuse him. I drank my tea without missing a beat. Oh. Kate snorted, I'll get Jack what he wants. He'll realize how important I am. You could leave without making too much of a fool of yourself. Me, oh. She slammed her cup down. Let's see how long you can keep this act up. After the meeting, Eric came down first. He was grinning and became more excited when he saw me. Jack's girlfriend. Are you here to congratulate me? I smiled, Eric. Eric chuckled, I told you, one day I'll reclaim what's mine. I looked back at my book, congrats. Eric came closer, placing a hand on my shoulder with a smug look. Jack's fortune is half mine, and Jack's woman. I find her interesting too. You've got some skills if you've got someone like Jack willing to cherish you. I wonder how you are in bed. As soon as he finished, Eric was punched and sent rolling across the ground before he could stop. I'd seen Jack in many ways, but never like this, dangerous and fierce. Eric tried to get up but was kicked back down repeatedly. Amidst the sudden fight, no one dared to intervene. One heir pummeled another until Eric was left in a bruised heap. Only then did security step in for a show of stopping the fight. Kate was shocked. I slowly walked over and hugged Jack from behind. I'm okay, don't be mad. His clenched fists relaxed, though his eyes were still a frightening shade of red. Eric was hauled up, still cursing. Jack, remember, from today on, we're brothers. Can you change that fact? Spit. Wait, I'll make Dad realize who truly deserves to be his son. Jack took my hand, leaving, with Kate chasing after us. Jack, there's no need to fight him now. Make peace with your dad, and I'll help you. Eric can't beat you. Kate stood in front of the car, chastising me, and you. Remember how Jack treated you before? Now because of you, he caused a scene, tarnishing his reputation. what's your game? Jack, only I can help you. Don't you see this? Kate kept talking, oblivious to Jack's darkened expression. The car engine roared to life. Jack coldly spat 2 words, move aside. Kate, full of resentment, dodged at the last moment. Lily. I'll make Jack see who you really are. I never asked Jack about his next steps. He started leaving early and coming back late, enjoying lying on my lap, listening to me talk about school. One day, while I was talking, he suddenly said, Lily, once this is over, let's get married. I gave a soft smile, staying silent. It didn't take long for Jack's family group to announce bankruptcy. Due to a massive misstep in the supply chain, Mark's assets were all seized. Jack had planted a silent bomb in the group long ago. If Mark chose to split the family fortune, Jack preferred to destroy everything rather than let his enemy gain anything. No wonder he said the company would eventually go under. Plus, Jack reported Mark for his mistress's murder, personally seeing his father imprisoned. He'd been crazy for so long, one more time didn't make a difference. With that, Jack's family crumbled. Eric's newfound wealth turned into massive debts. 2 weeks later, Jack came home. I was cooking when he hugged me tightly, refusing to let go, like he wanted to absorb me into his being. He said, Lily, I'm so tired. It's all over now. For Jack's family, this was a disaster. Even though Jack lost a lot too, he always had his own business. He wouldn't be in dire straits even without relying on his family. He buried his face in my neck, murmuring, Lily, I've been having someone follow you whenever you go out. I'm afraid Eric might do something reckless. Just give me some time, I'll take care of him. Then, we'll get married. Lily, you're all I have. Jack had a custom-made wedding ring just for me. He wanted to surprise me. But this time, I wasn't home waiting for him. In the surveillance footage, Jack froze the moment he got the news that Eric had kidnapped me. He looked like he had fallen from heaven into hell. Eric tossed my phone aside and lifted my chin with a small knife. Lily, he said, smirking, do you think Jack can still come up with 50 million? Or would he risk everything he's got to save you? I huddled in a corner. There was a dangerous glint in Eric's eyes as he slowly grinned, doesn't Eric, sir? If he doesn't, killing you would still make him miserable. Mark killed my mother and Jack left me with nothing, so I've got nothing left to fear. My life's about revenge, I'm going to destroy him. I tried to negotiate with him. Jack won't come. To him, I'm just a gold digger. He might fool around with me, but he won't risk his assets for me. Eric sneered, you think I'm a fool? Ever since he took you from that nightclub, I knew you weren't just some ordinary woman. What do you think would be his reaction if I toyed with his woman right before his eyes? Would he beg me to spare you? Then Eric started to do just that. I screamed and cried, only fueling his excitement. When Jack finally showed up, I was a mess, covered in bruises and blood. The dismal light cast over me, making me look fragile and vacant, like a corpse. I saw Jack's face turn from a pale shade of shock to burning hatred in an instant, and he charged at Eric. Eric had a knife, and he slashed at Jack a few times. I heard bones cracking, unsure whose they were. The screams echoed throughout the abandoned building. Eric never expected Jack to be so reckless, coming in with the intent to kill. He started to plea, stop, stop. I won't dare do it again. I don't want the money. I'll leave. But Jack picked up the knife from the floor and plunged it into Eric's heart, over and over. Blood bloomed on Jack's face like a sinister flower, beautiful yet haunting. He started trembling, dropped the knife, and wobbled over to me. The frantic look was gone as he gently cradled me, holding me like fragile porcelain. Lily, it's okay. It's over now. I slept deeply, unwilling to wake. How I wished that when I opened my eyes, none of it happened. It would be so nice if my sister were still alive. When I woke, there were some papers beside the bed, and for the first time, my heart was at peace. The papers had info about my sister when she was alive, and the reason she took her own life. There was a note that read clearly, Rose, Lily's biological sister, both abandoned by their parents. Rose dropped out to work and support her smart sister's education. At the door, Jack dropped what he was holding. He gave me a deep look and then shut the door. I looked at him calmly, slowly letting a smile spread across my face. Jack, the game's over, I said. What a wild ride of a prank this has been. A year ago, Jack pulled a prank that led to my sister's death. Now, he's just like I was back then, lost and utterly desperate. My sister worked hard to support my schooling, and when I finally got into the school I dreamed of, ready to help her, she was gone. Identifying her body was the worst nightmare of my life. Not long before, she had told me about someone she really liked. Through her diary, I came to know Jack. The high and mighty rich kid and a humble Cinderella, caught in false affection. My sister fell deeper and deeper. In her diary, she wrote, Jack is so gentle. Besides my sister, he's the best to me. But this man she thought so highly of got bored and changed without warning. Because my sister wasn't after his money and wouldn't accept expensive gifts. Because she just liked him for who he was. Jack thought it was amusing. Not after the money. After love? Rose, I've met lots of women like you. This isn't fun at all. Jack enjoyed exposing women as gold diggers. So, he publicly tossed her a check. Payment for playing with me, you should be grateful. Such a flimsy check crushed Rose's dignity. A game. Just a game. Rose never touched that check. But the footage from that day went viral, kicking off a bizarre social media phenomenon. 1 second, I don't want your money. The next second, the check needs to be bigger. Ha ha ha. Truly in love with a rich heir? Does she believe that? Did she think she was the heroine of a romance novel? Love from the CEO, huh? Ridiculous, self-improvement for these women, grab the check and run. And she's feeling wronged. Got the money, at least try to fake it. Prince, notice me, I swear I'm only after the money. Rose was uneducated, and her naive denials were futile. Because of this online hate, Rose lost her job, got shunned by everyone, even strangers on the street would ask, how much was on that check? When Rose found Jack again, she only wanted him to say she took nothing. But Jack didn't bother wasting time on an old conquest. Until Rose was crushed by the criticism, tormented into deep depression, she waited in vain for someone to speak for her. Then Rose took her own life. Silently jumping from the rooftop. Rose didn't leave much behind, just a diary, a diagnosis of depression, an assortment of pills, and a few thousand saved for my education. On the day she died, she walked past a clothing store, saw a beautiful dress for $2,000, and hesitated not to buy it. A gift for Lily starting college. On the last page of the diary, besides dried up tear stains, was only one line, promise me you'll never easily trust a man. I can't imagine what despair she went through to leave without saying goodbye. I rushed from college far away, only to embrace a cold, lifeless body. I've thought countless times, if I could have seen the signs, if I'd noticed the filthy online stuff. If I had reached out at the last moment. Silence reigned in the hospital room. I caressed my sister's photo and wept uncontrollably. Lily. Don't call me that. I looked up, my eyes full of undisguised hatred, making Jack hesitate to take another step. Typical rich kid arrogance. I smirked, you're busy cleaning up your family's mess, but you still find the time to investigate me, huh? I didn't even have to confront him, he figured it all out himself. Jack quickly denied it, no, I never doubted you. This was all Kate told me after you got kidnapped by Eric. I found it amusing. Kate sure is persistent, figuring out my background at this point. I was curious. Since you knew everything beforehand, why did you still come to save me? Jack knew I had been deceiving him all along. He could have easily let me die in Eric's hands. Jack's eyes were deep and his face pale. Because I love you. I laughed so hard my shoulders shook, like I had heard the funniest joke in the world. His voice trembled, so, even when I knew it was a setup, and the kidnapping was part of your plan. But when I saw you hurt, I just let everything go. I raised an eyebrow and couldn't help but applaud. Smart. If it wasn't for my willingness, there's no way Eric, that idiot, could have kidnapped me with Jack protecting me. I purposely tempted Eric to hurt me because I knew he wouldn't dare do anything before achieving his goal. Although it was tough, nothing actually happened. But it was enough to enrage Jack. I didn't expect him to find out about my plan at the last moment and still willingly fall into the trap I set for him. I smiled challengingly at him. Jack, are you overwhelmed by your own emotions? How does it feel to be treated like a plaything? He struggled to speak. A plaything? Lily, did you ever truly like me? Even a tiny bit? My expression turned steely. Like you? Jack, if I were the one who caused your mother's death, would you have liked me? My sister never wanted revenge on you, she just wanted you to clear her name. She never took your money. She wouldn't have died. I practically shouted. Jack looked desperate. He knew my answer all along. I really didn't know. I caused your sister's death, and I didn't know. If I had never hurt your sister, could we have had any other possibilities? I scoffed. You've already destroyed the only person who truly cared for you. People like you don't deserve genuine feelings. He shuddered, momentarily lost. The police arrived, warning Jack to open the door because it was locked. Jack turned himself in before I came to. Eric's body had already been found. At the last moment, Jack hugged me tightly with all his might. All I could hear was his choked, trembling sobs. Lily, when I found out about everything, I wasn't even angry about being deceived by you. It was realizing that we have no future. He wiped the tears from my face. The police broke down the door. I watched blankly as Jack was taken away, tears flowing uncontrollably again. Sis, I'm so tired. Meeting Jack was part of my plan from the beginning. I knew everything about him. He seemed arrogant and aloof on the outside, but his mother's death left him with a twisted and sorrowful heart. Once he experienced what it felt like to be loved, his feelings grew wildly. As for Eric, he was the one who had posted the video that led to the online bullying of my sister. He was Jack's nemesis, probably hoping to make Mark see Jack as unfit to inherit because he always seemed distracted by leisure. As a result, he indirectly caused my sister's death. So, no heiressor who died in Jack and Eric's final confrontation, I'd be happy. I pushed Jack to ruin his family's business because Mark had buried the truth about Rose's death to smooth his son's path. I wanted the brothers to turn against each other. I wanted the ones left standing to pay the price. I wanted Jack to feel what it's like to be treated like a plaything. At Jack's murder trial, due to the special circumstances, even though his motivation had been to save me, I testified that at the time, Eric had already given up resisting and was pleading for mercy. Each knife after that was meant to kill. Plus, Jack didn't call for help right after. By the time the police found out, Eric was long gone. An anonymous piece of evidence also showed there was a lot of grudges between the two. In the recording provided by this evidence, Jack's voice was menacing. Even if Mark didn't do it, I'd have killed her once I grew up. And then I'd take care of him too. The nature of the case changed. At the second trial, Jack was sentenced to 10 years. He never hired a lawyer or defended himself from start to finish. I transferred to the current school to get close to Jack and avenge my sister. Later, I transferred back to my original college. There, no one knew me, and I focused on my studies, found a good job after graduation. I never married, used the money from selling the house to travel the world with my sister's belongings. I stopped having nightmares because my sister told me in my dreams she found a new home. A free and joyful new life. 10 years later, there was a heavy snowfall one day. Her tombstone looked like it was covered in a white bridal veil. I thought, in that world, she must have met someone she could really open her heart to. I caught a snowflake and noticed, in a snow-covered corner, a bouquet of white roses lying quietly.